is 9 o'clock. Everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Get started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Here.
Lintz.
Yes.
Dreier.
Here.
Gualdoni.
Here.
Bales.
All presidents of comment boards. Anybody have any opening comments? Down to approve the agenda for today's meeting and the meeting minutes of March 23rd. Does anybody have any additions, corrections, deletions, or otherwise?
I would just ask, on the previous minutes for the previous meeting, under treasurer's report, where it says settle with county delinquent parcels, that was 8 delinquent personal property parcels as well. If you notate that, I had several hundred delinquent parcels. If you want to stay confused.
Is that normal? They have several hundred.
Parcels of it, and then she gave us that.
What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda and previous minutes with that correction.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any further direction? Discussion? I hope it's not one of those days. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, down to approval of payment of the bills. You have the bills in the packet in the amount of $73,300.73. What's the board's pleasure? Motion been made and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call
Bales.
Yes.
Boskee.
vote. Yes.
Terry.
Yes.
Fountain, yes. Lintz.
Yes.
Dreier.
Yes.
Gualdoni.
Yes. Motion has carried. Correspondence. Anybody have any correspondence? No? Move down to reports. Just a couple items. Had an EMAC meeting last week. We went over our hazard mitigation plan. First time since I've been on the board, I've actually had homework to fill out the survey, condensed version of it.
It was a test.
Yeah, that's sort of what it was a test. The other thing to come out of that meeting, some of you have maybe participated in the past with the text alerts from Lapeer County on various multiple things. We've had a couple different ones over the years. The latest change in that wasn't our doing, it was the company eliminating that. So Lapeer County has a new text alert system. RAVE is the acronym. Don't ask me what it stands for, I have no idea. If anybody's interested in that, they text Lapeer to 226-787. And you'll get the updates on all the emergency happenings, special road closures, any of those sort of things, alerts that you would have gotten with any of the previous, I can't even think of what the other ones were called, to tell you the truth. Kind of going along with our road project agreement here in the packet, I was notified of another culvert failure. Truck went through the culvert that was on Merwin Road, so Merwin Road was closed between Hadley and Elba Road. That is now reopened. The road commission did get out there Friday, I think it was, and they took care of that one, and they took care of the one on Washburn Road that we had previously approved. As you remember, we approved 3 of them, and if you look in your packet, we have that one snow. It's tis the culvert season. GLTA had a meeting, I guess, in that. The biggest happenings out of that meeting was we approved a slight increase in the group fare trips. So, if, for example, a daycare school or something is going on a field trip, the group rates for trips basically amounted to 50 cents. Not a whole lot of an increase. And then we also discussed, and I want Kelly wants to add to that, gave us a little update on the advertising. We're looking at potentially putting, if you've ever ridden mass transit, and I would assume that a whole bunch of them in this room have not, but it's quite common to have bus advertising on the insides and so forth with the buses. And that's something that we've been looking at for the past month or so. Still, but the ridership is steady and funds are steady, and and that's, I guess I'll just cover on, as you know, we have a township deputy who deals with the blight and the things after I've attempted to make contact and resolve it that way. And then it goes over to them, and then we have previously done the, we get to a point where they're warnings, they're not doing that, they issue tickets. I've had a conversation with Deputy Nelson, thank you. I still go under me. And she's doing a wonderful job from that standpoint, but try to expedite this more. If they are to be trusted with the use of deadly force, I think they could be trusted with the issuing of blight and ordinance violation tickets. So I've given her the hoya haya that if in her opinion a ticket is warranted, you don't need to contact me, go ahead and issue that ticket. So try to keep things going. We're dealing with some property owners that don't live in the area, and so therefore it's less efficient when we have this back and forth, and to get things streamlined and move on down the line. I have given her that. Okay. Anybody have any questions on that?
Do we need a policy on that so that way they know? I mean, to protect the officers as well. And I just think we should have a policy that's approved by the board allowing her to do.
Well, we could draft a policy, I suppose, on that. The way it has always worked, not only for Elba Township, and I'll give you an example of like a noise ordinance. A police officer does not have the ability to write an ordinance or a township ticket without, and our ordinances all say, it's the township or their designated, that could be the construction code authority or whoever we have an ordinance enforcement officer. So what has happened previously, and this hasn't happened in a couple of years anyway, obviously the noise complaints typically come in at midnight, 1 a.m., those type of things. And so the police department will be sent out to a property because they're having a party or whatever the case may be. And they'll tell them to turn it down, and do, and leave, and they get called out a second time. And ultimately, central dispatch calls me at 1 o'clock in the morning and says troopers are on scene at such and such address, and they would like authorization to write a noise violation. They'll tell me they've been out there 3 times tonight, etc. I can tell you if they wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning, they get authorization to write that ticket. Now we have all the inclements of the system. If they go down, the only one that don't have right now is shipping containers. But it's in their system. So any law enforcement official in Lapeer County, the Elba Township ordinances on blight, noxious weeds, and so forth are in their computer system. They can print a ticket. So right now, Deputy Nelson has that. Oh yeah, rest of them, so they have to call them. So, I mean, a policy, I guess if you want to write a policy that said that, any law enforcement officer, it would be pretty difficult to write a policy. I don't know. That's the way they're doing it now. I just think that streamlines it better. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I was just saying to not only protect us, but to protect her so that she knows what her boundaries are, and we have given her boundaries.
Well, it's in writing to her. She hasn't been writing for me. So her protection is very simple. Going forward, use your judgment. If you feel that a ticket is warranted, I guess if you want to, I don't know that I'd want to do it to, everybody, but if this board wants to write something up, especially going into, I'll call it fireworks season and summer party season, to just authorize any of our township deputies to write those tickets, send me a phone call. I'm still not opposed to that. Think that would go?
I'm sure it will.
Okay, I will wrap something up and bring it back. If anybody doesn't have a problem with it, then. Anything else? Your neighbor is one of them that is. So your neighbor is one of them that is, out of town and just deal with it. And I think I reported at the last meeting, we did get clarification though that we can mail tickets. We don't need to catch them on the property or whatever, so, and we have done that. Person Road is a good example. Lippincott Road down the road here, because they just will not answer the door anymore, so. They are getting their notifications via mail. So. Anything else? Treasurer's report.
I don't have a whole lot. The first round of personal property delinquent bills went out last week. There was 8 of them. Those amounts will be good through the end of June, and then the next round will go out as long as they're not paid by then. I have an appointment just over the phone with a representative from Invoice Cloud on Wednesday. He called while I was on vacation, wanted to set something up for us to go over our contract and see where we're at. And I'm sure they're doing cold calls trying to keep people because everybody's going to be switching to BSNA or is in talks with BSNA about that. So I'm going to wait and speak with them and see what they have to offer and what they're looking to do. So I have that information, and then later this week I am going to reach out to BSNA and make an appointment for that.
Very, very timely. We're working, as you know, the ADA compliance, the website. CCA is pretty well done. Lapeer Township, they're going through the process now. So that's one of the things with our website, have the ability to get the forms net online, and then whether or not we want them to be able to pay online. I'm going to defer a whole lot to you on that. And how it's going to work, I think of like our hall rentals and who paid first. You know what I mean? If they can do it online and it goes live at midnight, the person goes in and that's a discussion for later on. Yeah, all those sort of things, and just, we have to do the website, but to what extent we want to go with fillable forms and online payments is a discussion for us.
That is all I have.
Questions? Clerk's report.
The deadline to sign up to run for the trustee position in August is next Tuesday, 4 p.m., 21st.
Questions with that? Planning Commission.
I'm not having any.
Fire Chief.
The Easter Festival, the weather wasn't too cooperative, but it went well. We had a couple hundred kids, had a lot of fun. We kind of moved it inside the building. We unfortunately had a couple large grass fire assist. Good thing is our UTV worked very well. Did a great job.
White Town last week.
Yeah, there's definitely some alarms going off down there. Somehow Road. 3941 right in there. And the crossing burned off.
Questions for the Fire Chief? County Commissioner, GLTA.
So I just wanted to add, as far as, I know you mentioned the ridership, both the ridership for bus traffic and then also for our rights to wellness have increased, which is a positive thing, which because of the time of the year, that's not anything that is unusual. But definitely with the rights to wellness, want to put a little emphasis on that. Last month we did over 750 rides with 5 drivers. So very excited that that program has really taken off And again, that one goes not just countywide, it also goes out of county, so, kind of excited with that. And yes, I will be finding out some more, sorry, I had to hear my mouth. Some more information as far as hopefully this week, because I'm leaving today to go up to the road, transit, workshop. So working with some other transits that actually have done it. Ours is a little unique because of the way that we have our buses currently. Some of them do a full wrap. I don't necessarily like the full wrap. So we have to really kind of decide how we're going to do that to make it cost effective. But we're definitely looking for some additional revenue sources. So,
Questions? EMS.
Not have a meeting.
Moves us down to our first agenda item, road project agreement. You have in your packet, culvert. This is on Washburn Road. We just replaced the one just north of Lippincott. This one is just south of Lippincott. I did inquire, and in fact, we replaced this one within the last 10 years. Obviously, it's a dead end going down there, so it turns into more of a oh-yeah with people being able to get in and out of Washburn Road, going to the north of, because it's the cul-de-sac it is at I-69. So I remember very well when we did it last time, that process. They confirmed that in fact we have, and that's why they're now pretty well everywhere, but in this particular one, poly-coated, so that it doesn't rot out in 10 years or less. So you have that in your packet, the amount of $4,900. I have not, nor has he indicated, but I'm sure it will be coming. I haven't got anything from Merwin Road. Merwin Road, I think they closed that on Tuesday or Wednesday, the culvert failure, and like I said, I think they fixed it. It was Friday, and actually they were on overtime to do both of those. He sent me a text, and it was probably like 6 o'clock or so, 6:30. Those were all going in.
So is this one been replaced already? Or not yet?
This one, no, has not been replaced this year. This board is previously approved, and it has been replaced in the last 10 years.
But they didn't know that this one was an issue when we had the other.
No, this is another one where the truck going through fell through the crushed out through the culvert.
So this was just north of Lippincott or south?
Just north of Lippincott.
We got written in south.
so it's just south of Lippincott.
Well, that would be really good. If it was.
Because that one was just replaced. I just drove down on it, looks brand new.
Yeah.
What's on?
Yeah. So it should be south.
Should be good.
I mean, I'm reading it here, I'm sorry.
He probably just didn't.
Cut and
They
paste
probably
here.
used the same one, yeah.
So it says that. We've already done that one. That's the one that we just approved here 2 meetings ago or something like that. This one is in fact north of the Lippincott. And it's longer, 50 foot, because it runs at a diagonal. Questions, comments?
Can we approve it as written, or is it amended, or say it back? What are you gonna do?
We can go with the correction.
Yeah, just do the correction. Agree or don't agree, but agree to pay the culvert as requested. I don't know what the project is. Or approve $4,900 for culvert repair on Washburn Road. What's the board's pleasure?
I approve that we, do the repair for the
Motion been made and supported. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, the only question that I do have is when these come in, since we do have a road committee, can they get sent out? Just that way, if any one of us wanna, go look at it, question it, because this was done by the board packet like last Wednesday, I just wasn't able to come in, but if there's any way these could be emailed to us right away, so that way we can make a phone call if we needed to ask any questions.
Good. You got it as soon as what we did. It just came in.
Right, I'm just saying that we do have a road committee, so if we could just have this email, not the whole board packet, but just this email.
I will make sure that you're notified.
It's in the online packet.
I understand. But we got a committee, so this should just come to us.
Anything else? All in favor of the motion, signify by aye.
Aye.
Whoa, I'm sorry, it's a contract roll call.
Gualdoni,
Yes.
Bales,
Yes.
Boskee,
Yep.
Terry,
Yes.
Fountain, yes. Lintz,
Yes.
Dreier,
Yes. Motion carried. Next, I have a budget amendment. The budget amendment is for, as you recall, and they've been working at it slowly but surely. The board approved AEW to review our engineering standards ordinance per the recommendation from legal counsel. That was, that engineering standards ordinance was adopted in late 90s, 98, 99. And just to make sure that it was still, I guess, valid, there have been no engineering changes, and I'll just use an example. Maybe the ordinance previously said Schedule 30 PVC, and the new standard calls for Schedule 40. But we approved a review of that, and they have been doing it little by little, and we get billed, I won't even say monthly, it's haphazard in our billing. The balance though for engineering professional services is generally covered by site plans, Matthew Township, so there's not as much in that account because of course site plan comes in, the applicant makes the deposit in and covers those fees. But since this is all being funded by the board because it's our project, we need to transfer $3,000 into that account. Is that a clear enough explanation for?
It should actually be what was approved for the project, which was $15,000. So future bills are already accounted for in the line item.
Understand that's what we approved, but we need $3,000 in there for
To
this.
cover the current bill, but we should have the budget approved prior to getting the bills. That's the way it's supposed to go.
Okay. So what do you want to?
Well, so, I mean, last time they didn't want to approve extra money for going to conference, so I don't know what the board wants to do, but the project was approved for $15,000.
Okay, so what's the outstanding balance?
I think like 12 more.
No,
Maybe it's about
because we
7 or
paid.
8 more,
I was
but
gonna
if I
say,
have any site plans, they're gonna come out of there as well. We never increased it by 15,000. Which would accommodate site plans and that project,
so site plans though is revenue neutral. People put in.
but it doesn't show up that way on the line item.
So she's saying we should put that money in because we already approved it, opposed to doing it after the fact.
And I agree with that.
It's an issue
So
on the
that's-
audit to do any 30 days prior to the end of the year to do any budget amendments. It's recommended by our previous auditor to always have 0 budget amendments 30 days prior to end of year.
I agree with every bit of that.
So if we can eliminate a future budget amendment, that would be good. If not, it doesn't really matter.
So we paid a couple of them, I already know. I know that. It's it's $15,000. So $10,000 is going to cover it altogether. We won't have $10,000 of the building from AEW between now and July 1st. But we approved $15,000, we've already paid a couple.
Which came out of the same line item that it comes out of for site plan reviews.
So
That's fine.
So you're saying then that we should approve 15,000?
What was budgeted should be increased on that line item, or what was approved for the project. But, right this minute, it's 3,000. I'll be getting another site plan review today. Fiber lamps. I don't know how much that was in the house. Probably $1,000. And yes, the money goes into the ground, but the expenditure doesn't get worked out.
So we start the year with how much money in that?
I couldn't tell you what it was.
It's kind of my
It's
point.
basically for what we guess for site plan reviews.
Understand that, and again, that's revenue neutral. So if we started that year with, say, $5,000 in that account, I guess I can do the same thing. If we started with $5,000 in that account, then the only money that is being charged for site plans is what money comes in for that. The rest of it is for our money, paid for out of our fund balance, our taxes. So if we put in 5,000 to begin with, then we would need a remaining 10,000 to cover our project. Because any other site plan, any other work that goes to AEW is covered under the permits and fees by the applicant.
But it still shows up as an expenditure that's gonna put that line item over budget. That's fine, just whatever you want.
I agree that we shouldn't have budget amendments and piecemeal or whatever, but
Well, it's a question that the auditor gets asked of, did we have any in the last month? Some places like to wait to the end of the year and do a whole bunch of budget amendments in the last month, and that is frowned upon.
no, we don't do that. So, that being said, it's April. I myself think that it would be prudent then to increase that to 10,000.
I agree.
Because I know that we've already paid out. I wouldn't be surprised if we have on 3 and this is on 4. But what's the board's pleasure?
It's on paper, it's not like physical money's getting tied up.
Right, we've already approved this expenditure.
Right.
But we approved this expenditure over a year ago, and they have just been going through it at their own pace. Because again, it was nothing on demand we needed to have, it was just a review to make sure that we were still compliant with all of the changes in DEQ requirements and everything else that goes along with engineering standards.
$2,500 is the original budget.
So if we start at 2,500, okay. Anybody? Anybody?
I'll make a motion to change the budget amendment to $10,000.
I'll support it.
Discussion?
Yes.
Gualdoni,
Yes.
Bales,
Yes.
Boskee,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Fountain, yes. Lintz.
Motion is carried. Next is phone system. So our phone system that we put in, we had, let me get this all on, but, we put the system in. When you have a new thing, you know, they do, like satellite, you get all the channels, and then after a date, you have to pay for the additional ones. We've crossed that date, we own them, it's fully paid for, there are phones. And the question is, the question in my mind, do we need all the channels, or can we reduce our services? And a lot of the things that were in the everything, we don't use, we have no intention of using the texting and some of the different things that are just a part of these phones that, quite honestly, if I can just figure out how to answer the call and get my messages, I'm doing pretty good. So, the initial email from Tim kind of explains that they want to go from Pro to Essentials, and our license of savings of $2 per user per month. So you'll go from $19.95 per user to $17.95 user, savings of $16 a month. 8 users, that's how many phone messages we have times 2. Seems like a pretty insignificant amount, but on the other side, why pay the additional $16 a month for 10 years? We have no intentions of ever using those services.
I'll make the motion to approve Essentials as recommended.
So.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Super. I don't think so. Well, we can go along all that here. Yeah, we already got a contract with them, we're just changing. Supervisor computer hard drive upgrade. Well, apparently,
You're struggling a little bit?
yeah, my computer stinks.
For a brand new computer.
Yeah. Now, to give you an idea of how it works, I'll go to log on, and it's just like the days of dial-up. I can get up, go to the restroom, go in, get a cup of coffee, come back, and it's still
Just been
dialing me up. In addition, it has got some gremlins in it that I don't understand. I have the tax system, assessing, all the different programs pulled up. I can minimize one screen in like a one day, you know, the little desktop, I don't know what you call them, but the quick, you know, have to go into the, you should explain this more. I minimize the screen of that particular program, and my entire screen was filled with those icons. The entire page had those. Some of them I'm like, what the heck is this? Now I have 2 rows on this side, 2 rows on this side that I keep up all the time. Those are, you know, the Outlook, the assessing, and all those, you know, quick reference type things. And I have them in an order. It's just hodgepodge everywhere. I came in one day to go to log on to the computer Outlook, which is our program. That's my emails, everything else. It's not even on the screen. So I have to go into find it in the programs. Now it gives me, do I want classic or do I want new? I didn't know we had a difference between the 2 of them. Which one is? Well, if I go with the new, then I don't get any of my old stuff. I may not be able to send and receive email, so now I have classic. It's just a hodgepodge. But the speed is the biggest thing. It is bad enough with my typing, having to throw that, it's thinking, and everything that I have to do. It definitely needs something. And apparently the people who know about these says this is what it means. In a nutshell.
I was doing that last week, and finally on Thursday, I had to go to G, and she logged in, because no one else had gotten back to me. And she looked to see if I had anything funny, which I didn't, but then and I don't understand this stuff either, I'm not an IT person, but she left this screen up so that I could watch, and everything's moving between percentages, and she's like, you're just gonna have to watch, and if anything gets to 100%, and it stays there for 5 minutes, then you need to come back, and I think we did. So I'm basically waiting to see if it's any better. But I came back from vacation on Monday, and I had to update my programs to April 1st, and when I was logging on each one of my programs, it sometimes took like 7 to 1 minute of program. It didn't take that long, it ended up taking like 20, but that's still very long time. Update my program, and then I went to program, so. And I was doing the same, anytime I was doing it, it's experience.
I don't know, you know, that's a spectrum issue,
Jackie's computer was on.
but see, that's, I would say, you know, is it upload, download, is it something in our internet connection, but then, you know, talk to other people, and yours is operating normally, so we're all the same wire coming in.
You both have Windows 11.
We have the whatever,
She was surprised, she said my computer was new 3 years ago, she was able to look it up.
yeah. So what do we determine with mine? Mine was a year old, last April, so it's a year old.
So is your current hard drive not a solid state? Because this is saying you want to upgrade to a solid state, which would imply that your old one is not.
Okay.
Well, my point is that they're both, if you're just going for more memory, it wouldn't help you. If you're going from old technology to a solid state, this would help you.
You're saying it's regular hard drive, solid state.
Yeah. So you got little windings and stuff. Or clicking.
That's a box on the side, I guess, I have no idea with it. I just know that, I mean, I previously, it was at home, it's slow, you know, had internet connection, so forth. I come to the office and it's boom, 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 boom. Except for the past few months, it has not been boom, 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 it's been slower than using the hotspot in my house. On my phone, by far. What's the board's pleasure?
Does your computer have a warranty technically?
It wouldn't be a warranty issue if it was built.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that would be like if we had a hard drive failure or something, it may be a warranty thing. I don't know.
That's the only thing I'm thinking of is if your hard drive's fail, why would it, if it isn't fail, why would it be slow? Why would it want to be upgraded into a solid state?
If your old technology is definitely, they fail and they will slow you down. So upgrading would definitely help. My question was, if you was going from like 500 gig to a 1 terabyte, both the solid state, old solid state to a new solid state, that wouldn't help. If your old drive is hot, the old technology, yes, they get confused, they'll slow you down. Whereas the new technology, you'll go in one day and it flat out won't work. You won't have 12 months of slow, with the silver working. I don't know.
So were we wanting to approve up to a certain amount, because it looks like they don't know what the amount is going to be exactly.
It's probably labor. It's probably a fixed price for the, I'm assuming it's a fixed price for the hard drive and then.
The hard drive says it's varying from 160 to 200. A month ago it was 100, so I guess they're going up and down pretty good. Or the solid state drive.
Does that include the labor put in?
No,
No,
it's
because that's
$150 an hour. So probably 300 tops and 500 or 200 more. So probably cover it $500. And that's what you're saying is upper limit is.
Because all your programs are not, they transferred over
for itself all the time.
Isn't technology wonderful? Make a motion to support.
Yes.
So this is a contract, and so it would be roll call.
So, we have discussion. So I was just wondering, I know you made that, because we just started going through and getting new, systems because of Windows 11. And I want to say, you know, so can you look into that? I mean, because instead of having this great big box, now we have a small little one that's actually on the desktop, that I don't think is that much more. And why we're doing this, I just think that that might be more productive to do that than just, I don't know, put a Band-Aid on it.
Do what? I don't.
We've got a whole new, what do you call it?
Tower.
The tower thing. Yeah, thank you. So now it's, like, wait, I mean, it looks like our battery backup is that small. I mean, so I'm just thinking that, you know, we might wanna look into that, and if it's not that much more, then we're good for a lengthier period of time, opposed to just.
Well, I have the newest Windows thing, that's what started this whole mess, is the system that I had was no longer able to talk to the different programs. So that's why it was first last April to get a new computer. And I have the box thing. The tower.
Right. Yeah, but yours is big though, right? Yours is big. Because it sounds small. Right, so, like, mine is not much bigger than this.
I don't care about the size, it is.
I know, but it does work, and it works phenomenal, but that's what I'm saying, and it's got the solid state in there as well. I'm just saying, instead of piecemealing it and then needing to fix it and upgrade it in a short period of time, looking to see what that,
What would need to be upgraded in a short period of time?
well, we upgrade them all.
That's mine's been upgraded.
This was a year old, it's less
Yeah,
than a year old.
that's the whole, it's upgraded to the.
And we have 7-year-old computers that need upgrading first.
I understand that, but if we're doing that for him now, that, I'm saying if it's not that much more, it would be silly not to do it.
To be honest, if we ever buy another computer, you should have a solid state in it.
Exactly, which our last two did.
I'm surprised that you're.
I don't know, that's why I
That new.
was asking about the warranty, when last time we talked about this, I called her, and she said, well, I buy parts that are gonna last. Well, this one's not lasting.
See, and I guess this goes into a bigger issue, it's no longer Genie that we're dealing with. So I think that these computers that we bought last year, or the first go around with, it's still a bite at a time, but it's no longer Genie that is, it's Jeremy that is dealing with this.
Because this one, they are very cheap for a lot of terabytes, but you have the issue. If it was a solid state, you usually don't have issues. They make you good micros. Go right into the board. They're
So
even smaller.
That might be,
faster.
as we replace, the next go around, hers is older, whatever. Somebody that understands this a whole lot more, make sure that quote is a solid state hard drive. I mean, I look at the quote, you're speaking Greek, I don't know what that means.
You can still put the Genie, but you're not necessarily Genie.
I'm just saying the way that we got this ordered. All right, it's a roll call
Lance? Dreier?
Yes,
Gualdoni?
Yes.
Bales?
Yes.
Boskee?
vote. Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion's carried. Next is road project agreement allocation. This is something new with the road commission. We went through and approved all of the contracts in our last meeting. For all the different culverts, and immediately got kicked back when they want us to determine ahead of time before they even send the contracts back to the road commission whether or not we're using allocation funds for that. Previously, we've done it any number of ways, just keep applying allocation until we no longer have any allocation, or we have used it, we paid for the culverts and the ditching and all those sort of things as contract is written, and we save our allocations for, you know, the larger projects. We did Berwin Road, we did Mitchell Road, etc. They just applied them to that. But we made that decision as we went along throughout the year. Now the road commission wants us to make that ahead of time. So they wanted to know what we're using our allocations for. So for example, the contract that we just approved for the $4,900, we want to use allocation funds for that. Then you go down through all the ones that we just previously approved, whether it was for the dust control, whether it's for the cross tubes, whether it's for the mowing. Do we want to apply allocations to any or all of those?
You can only get how much allocation money?
39,000, 38,000, 39,000.
So, I mean, if the project goes for $100,000, the allocation for 50, right?
No, so the brush axing is automatic 50-50. The road commission matches. So it's $10,000 with the brush axing. We are only paying $5,000. The dust control and the roadside mowing, the entire contract is up to the township. And the costs for the culvert replacements that we do, that's all of us. So we could apply cost allocation dollars to those different projects. All of it, none of it, and like I said, we've done, we have $40,000, we just keep approving contracts using cost allocation until they tell us we no longer have any funds left, or and this is what we've typically done, we paid for all the culverts and all that sort of stuff as the contract was written, and then we apply our cost allocation to a single project, a larger one, where it is going to be, you know, $100,000 or those, in order to bring that project cost down. So for example, if we did Mitchell Road in between the ditching and the limestoning and everything involved in that, it was a $130,000 project. We'd apply our cost allocation funds to that, and it would reduce the bill down by those funds.
Either way, we're paying the money.
Correct. It's kind of like her point earlier with the budget thing, is one pocket or the other. I mean, it doesn't change a single cent of what the township is paying toward roads. You just want to apply to this one or that one. And like I say, the road commission, now their new policies, they want to know that ahead of time.
What happens if we don't use all our allocation?
Lose it.
Might as well use.
My own personal thing is, I would rather them, because we have a project, say it's $130,000 for the actual cost, and they generally come in below. Personally, I'd like to see the bill come and then do the allocation, as opposed to $130,000 is what we award, and say we want to use the allocation, and maybe the actual cost of that project came in at $110,000. It's $20,000 maximum that we approved. I just have a feeling that, well, that $20,000, you know, the project came in right at $130,000. So your cost allocation dollars, you know, brought it down to, in fact, that wasn't the actual cost of the project. Kind of like buying a car, I want to negotiate the lowest price before you start telling me what my payment is and all that.
If you leave allocation dollars out there, and more likely to do a project that maybe you weren't planning to do, to be able to not forfeit those funds.
Right.
The previous biller would just add them on himself. The allocation dollars. That's how they used them before. And they pretty much used them on every bill project.
Well, if we do it for the culvert projects, the three that we already approved, plus this one is 21,000. So I say do that, and then we're probably gonna get something for the one on Merlin Road, which would almost bring us to 30. That way there's 8.
It's no more than 50%.
Yeah, it's not paid for the project, it is 50%. Now, no more than 50% of the project. That's why I said we typically use it on, like the larger ones, $130,000. You know, that's 50% of 130 is still more than what our allocation is. So it brings a larger project into, doesn't cost us $130,000. So all the road commission is asking from this standpoint, I guess, is, you know, on any of these projects that we've already approved up to today's date, are we using cost allocation dollars on any of those?
I'll make a motion that we use them on everything up until we're out of money.
Are you talking work that's been done, or, you know,
Things
because
haven't paid for them.
it's like the road, because we're not paying for like the roadside mowing or the dust until it's due, correct?
Correct.
So,
Yeah, we approved the contract, but until they mow, the first mow.
right, that's what I felt as well, but I wanted to clarify it. So I'm just clarifying any work that has already been done. That I
Any
think
bills that haven't been paid for bills. That way we're not sitting here with $10,000 that we haven't used,
correct.
and something else comes up like a drain that was all of a sudden cost the township $300,000. We don't really afford a road project. You're subject to just lose that money. Typically, if they get very busy, they will carry that money over to the next year.
Yeah, I guess that's a point we're making. If we've approved a project and they don't get it done, and we're using allocation funds, they'll carry that over. If we just reach the end of their cycle and we haven't used it, we just lose it.
And none of these are assessment districts or anything like that, that residents would be individually paying. It's gonna affect their bill. So it makes not one bit of difference if we use it 1,000 at a time or put it all on one project. At the end of the year, it's the exact same dollar amount out of the budget.
I say use it as quickly as we can.
So we have a motion, do we have support? Okay. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next in your packet is Potter's Lake. I have a couple different issues with that. Refresh the board's memory. We are needing a contractor for the ops and maintenance for that. It's not like Lake Up saying it's $600 a month plus, you know, whenever we have like power outages, routine, those sort of things. So it's a nominal amount. And I am in talks with both of our current sewer providers, Easy Operations and Waldorf, but as of yet have not received a written contract proposal from either one of those. That's got to be done this month. It's just a matter of coordinating their time and so forth. That's an FYI. The second one is also an FYI. You have in your packet, the Treasurer's Office did a really good job here of laying out where we're at. And in a nutshell, we're at the end of the bond payment pay off. We have a small interest-only payment yet this year, $3,196.88. And then next year, we have the last of our bond payments, $155,000. The long and short, simplistic, not getting into sweeps and different accounts and so forth, we will not have enough money to pay for that final bond payment in 2027. So, it's not this year's budget, it will be next year's budget. And one of the things that we can do to eliminate this, or to mitigate this, would be the general fund loan the Potters Lake Sewer District money for that bond payment. You can look and see the money that we're bringing in to cover the actual ops maintenance of the system. More than covers that. But if you take out $155,000 bond payment per year, that's the negative. How did we get here? Well, twofold. One, we inherited forcefully phase 1 of Potters Lake. You recall that was done under the drain commissioner, and not the current or even the previous, but go back. The drain commissioner was the one that put in the Potters Lake sewer system. They installed it under the drain code of 1949. Pretty unusual thing for them to do, but they did. And then they proceeded to operate that for all those years and never charged a single drop of ops and maintenance. Similar to the days of the Lake Nepsing system where they just paid out of the bond funds, never did any rate adjustments or otherwise until they completed those funds. That drain commissioner leaves, the next drain commissioner comes into office, and his engineers and attorneys said, you need to increase the fees here. And I don't remember if Rena does or not. The drastic increase, what they were paying was going to increase like fivefold. Terrible thing for our residents. The timing for that was also the 2009-2010 era. Everybody remembers the downturn in the economy. All of a sudden, our residents were going to be paying 5 times as much for that. And they also had the actual mainline assessments as well. Still, they're not being paid off until next year. Along with that downturn in the economy, we had foreclosures. And so typically in a bond thing, you got bonds, you got the interest rates, paying, gaining, going into that. The banks, however, would not subrogate to the township. So in all these sales, they demand the payoff at that time. So we had a tremendous amount of our bond payments paid off in 2011-12 when the house is sold. We sold after foreclosure, and none of those people paid any interest into the payments. Then, the third thing was the previous drain commissioner had signed us up for a SAW grant, which we went through, and it was useful from that standpoint when we did identify a belly in the phase 2 that the township did. Rock solid, no problems whatsoever with that. All our issues in phase 1 with the original drain commissioner. We discovered a belly in that I was fearful that they were going to have us actually rip a hole for it, and we do that or not. But we do have to do flushing and maintenance of that and reporting to the DEQ. The other thing is we had some I&I intrusion infiltration of groundwater. We went ahead and repaired all of those, which of course cost money. All of those things put us behind, if you will. So the overall nutshell is the system is operating fine. We don't have anything that we have on Lake Nepsing, but because of that, we're short of funds for the last bond payment in 2027. I think that we will be fine if the township loans the Potters Lake system the amount that they need to cover those. questions? I know that's a lot, and I know we're not doing this until next fall. It is an issue.
So what happens, I mean, that will pretty much take this down to zero then.
It would, when we don't have enough money. Next fall, we won't have enough money. We have plenty enough to operate all the way through to pay them. It's $600 a month. You know, we have some, and that's the problem with my contract. It's mainly pump reading and electric. The only other cost that we have with that is the power outages and then the deragging. If you remember a few years ago, we had an issue with, it was Manor. But we have had some other ones, nothing compared to Lake Nepsi, but you know, those are expenses, and they're minuscule in the scope of, but deragging call out may cost $600-700. So in the scope of operations and maintenance, we pay over $10,000 for the base per month in Lake Nepsi. But those are our major expenditures. Back to finding an ops and maintenance, it's mainly electric, but there's not a whole lot of electricians that are also interested in doing a deragging, pulling a sewer pump up and bringing that up. They're electricians into that.
With the ops and maintenance, we send out 200 bills, exactly, and those go out on December 1st with the tax bills that are due February 14th, just like the tax bills. So 90% of the residents that are going to pay during that period of time. So are there people that will trickle in between now and November when the whole end of the tax bill is delinquent? Yes, but there can be a few handful that'll pay late. A lot of people let their escrow pay it, so then let it roll onto their taxes, so we have that too. So I mean, we will have very little between now and when the next tax bill goes up. And then with the assessment, this is the last year for the phase 1 or phase 2, I think.
Phase 2.
Phase 2.
Phase
Which
1.
is like $1,200 on their tax bill. This is going to be the last payment for that. For anyone who hasn't paid it off or hasn't sold and haven't paid off,
Correct. And just bring everybody up to speed, we do that one differently than Lake Nepsi. Lake Nepsi, they get quarterly bills. In the pot place system, they only get one bill annually. And we opted to keep phase 2, which is the township bill portion, the same as phase 1, so that everybody's consistent this side of the street and that side of the street. Because the phase 1 was built under the drain code, 1949, we don't have the ability to do a quarterly bill. That is written in the law, that it's an annual bill. So that's why we're only collecting during that winter tax time.
But I guess my still concern, and again, pretty much the same as like Nipsey, is if we are bringing this down to zero, what happens, you know, at that point? We're not building, we have no cushion, period.
Well, after we get
And we're having to lend that sewer system money.
After we get the last bond payment, we will be building a cushion, because we're now lowering the rates. We'll keep
Well, we're
that.
building a cushion if something doesn't happen. So, I mean, we wouldn't be in this situation if stuff wouldn't have happened to cost. You know, so that's the thing that concerns me, is bringing this down to zero, let alone actually a negative, because we're contemplating that the township is going to lend the sewer system money. Where we should be, yes, they're not going to be building, but again, I mean, they are going to be building, but not till 2028.
I don't think the township's gonna have to lend money to make these payments when we don't have the bill totals, and we don't have the dollar amounts on the tax bills provided to really see.
Well, I know that. This is just
I know.
I didn't want to have this discussion, you know,
So if we
August
pay,
of next
if
year.
we pay $6,000 a month for sewer treatment, just round it up. $600 a month for the electrician, a $3,000, $3,200 bill, all of that can be covered in that $113,000. And depending on how much money is going to go on the tax bill, that's the money for the $155,000.
you know, the actual cost, I'm not disputing any of that. But the thing of it is we all know when things happen to sewer systems. And that's what.
Well, if we're building $160,000 a year, that's not gonna make sense, because after May, next May, that's a pretty good, increase to their savings account. And that's what the current, user fee. But I don't know what those totals are, what's going on with the tax bill.
Yeah, I don't have
a bill.
Good financial, after this class.
And was, I can't remember, what was the gentleman's name that is retiring? And so that's being taken for sure, you know, that's being taken care of, you can call it for the other two.
We don't have that.
We don't have a contract. We've had discussions with both. So Lake Nepson was Waldorf previously, number one. Easy Operations was the analytics and so forth.
Now it's down.
And now they reversed around. Potter's Lake was Mike Holzer was the principal. Waldorf was the, something happened, I think they saw the leaks, they did the hammering. So both Waldorf and Easy Operations are interested in, expressed interest in being the primary for Potter's Lake.
But we didn't have that full round.
I don't have a contract for one. And just so you know, Easy Operations contacted me, not last week, but the week before, the end of the week, and wanted to, set up a date, come in and kind of hash some of those off, also with Nepson. But my mother-in-law, I was at Beaumont when they called me, I don't know what availability is. So we're hoping to have both of those meetings with both companies this week, because as you know, next week, coming up as well. So. This is more of a start the process now, as we get closer to. Well, it's concerning. I mean, I see the end of. I don't see the end of Lake Nepson. Lake Nepson is just a. All the way around. So, and just through sheer something can go wrong, my probability of something going wrong in Lake Nepson far exceeds. Well, I mean, it's just the mechanical. I mean, I have almost 400 individual grinder pumps and 2 lagoon stations and 3 lift stations for 3 lagoons and 3 lift stations for Lake Nepson. I have 3 lift stations for Potter's Lake. No grinder pumps, no lagoons, no. So, any other questions on that? All right. Public time. Anybody in the audience wish to bring anything before the board? State your name, address. Have at it. No? Well, I thank everybody for coming, and see no additional agenda items. We went through the agenda as presented, so declare the meeting adjourned.